Generally, 99.9% of the human experience or the human opinion of love is really just an episode. Love is an episode. If you're with a person for a while and you love them so much, okay, like at one point, let's just use my ex for an example. Like they say they love you, they do anything for you. Oh yeah, they love you. And something goes wrong, whatever it may be, to whatever extreme or to whatever, minute thing it may be that causes a relationship to end. They love you, okay? But then if you're not what they wanted you to be, or you hurt them, which you don't have the ability to hurt them if they don't allow themselves to get hurt, that's a different story. Anyway, that level of I love you, then all of a sudden they could care less if you die. Okay, my ex is trying to take my kids away from me because I'm spiritual and because I've had a religious or a spiritual experience of God. And because I'm not afraid to say that. And like if anyone would listen to me long enough, maybe they won't completely believe what I'm saying, but they'll know that I'm not coming from a place where I'm just making anything up. I've had this experience. I can't live any other life than this now because this is what happened to me and this is what reality is. And now that I understand what reality is, not this physical reality, that's just whatever you want it to be. So when I get back to the idea of the episode of love, it's because, let's say when you're a little kid and you love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever TV shows on now, Paw Patrol or whatever those things are. They say even 2, 3 years from now, especially say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if someone brings up Paw Patrol, at one point in time you had every character, you loved all the characters, and now, say 10, 20 years later, you're like, that's stupid. I remember I was really into that when I was younger. How silly. Well, most people and their idea of love is that kind of episode. It's like they love it so much. And then, oh, I don't really care at all. Like they could care less if you died. Like it's really weird. And it doesn't matter if it's a lifelong, one human lifetime in the effect of being a non-time being. You're immortal. Like since you are that, one lifetime, even if you live to be 150, is a blink of an eye. But it seems so long because you're physically experiencing it, so you can learn from it. But most people don't learn anything. They just follow along with what's going on. So they didn't learn, they just got programmed a little bit more. And then the next life is even harder. But, and if people don't want to understand that or even listen to that or believe that, it's fine. But the episodic love that we have is sort of sad because yes, and like my mom and dad have almost been married for 50 years. Next year they'll be married for 50 years. But the episode idea of love we have, it could be a whole lifetime with one person, but we're meant to love everybody equally. And that doesn't mean have sex with everybody. If that comes up and the two people mutually agree on that, fine. If they don't, fine. But it doesn't mean you love them or care about them any less than any other person or thing. But people don't get that. People say they love. They don't love anything. They're just infatuated with it to a degree of, oh boy, I like to have this a lot. But then when it gets old, it gets old. They don't love it anymore. They never loved it. Me, my exes, I may say the things about their faults, but I still love them. Anyone I've ever loved, I still love. Like to the point where I would do anything to help them. Maybe not anything. So yeah, it might be out of context, but I would do a lot to help them. In fact, I've offered every single ex I've ever had that I'll always be there for you. And if you ever need anything, ask me. And it's not just the words I'm saying, it's like the intention that I have. I would do whatever I could to help my exes, especially when it comes to our kids. I want to be as civil as I can with my kids and for my kids. But instead, the exes make it difficult. They make it harder for me to see them. And then they charge me all my money so that I have to work all the time, or they try to get all my money, so I have to work all the time, and I can't make extra time to see the kids. And then when I do, I don't know anything about them. So it's like trying to start all over. And when I get one day a week for like 8 hours, how much can you do in that amount of time? Not much. So staying completely sane with having 6 children that you don't get to have an experience with when all I want to do is be a father. I'm not some dude who wanted to knock up some chicks and just go, run around and party with my friends. I don't have any exact friends. I love everybody, But because they don't understand what we are, they do people stuff. They go to the bars and eat wings and drink beers and watch stupid TV shows that are only hurting your mind. Anything you watch that has violence, sex, drugs, anything angry or negative is only affecting your mind. Because if you don't, whether you think it or not, it's making you relate to other subjects like that. If you like a TV show a lot and it's dark and it's scary and crime, that's because deep down rooted in you, you're interested in it. Think about it. I mean, why doesn't anyone else use their brain in a way that makes sense? Not just to study some things that some other people say you should know, because that's the wrong thing. We've been wrong from the beginning. And I'm here to make things right. All of us are here to make things right, but most people don't know that, and they don't think they have the power to, and they feel so vulnerable and incapable of doing much, and just they have no hope. The world is going downhill, they say. No, it's not. The mentality of the people in the world is going downhill. If the mentality of the people changed, the world is beautiful and always has been and always will be. But people need to change, not the world. The world can't change without us. And we can't change without using our fucking intelligence and using our consciousness. But for some reason, people think as soon as you say that, you're a weirdo. Why is that weird? Because you've been taken so far away from what we are that when the idea and the truth of what we are comes up, it scares you and it makes you think it's weird. But what's weird is when you truly understand it, or what's true is that when you really understand it, you become fearless because there's nothing to be afraid of at all. Nothing. Nothing. In the physical world, you can feel, I don't know what the word would be. Like, I think one of my worst fears is to not have a relationship with my kids. And because I fear that, it's happening. And no matter how hard I try, I'm scared that I'm going to lose them, or scared that they're not going to love me the way I want them to. And they're my kids. So I can't just let that go. They're young and they're innocent and they're being brought up with the wrong mentalities. So I can't blame them for acting the way they do towards me. But at the same time, it hurts. And I can't just not let it hurt because they're my kids and I love them. In this physical representation of my life, they're my kids. And I'm very, very concerned about them. And because I have concerns and because I'm right about what I'm saying, I'm totally fucking right. And I don't have to prove it to anybody. I already know it within myself. The deepest spiritual knowledge and knowing is embedded in me. I know that I have the right means and the right intentions for my children. I would never harm them. I would never harm anything. Anything. Even when I'm having a day where I'm stressed out or whatever and I can't get control of my thoughts. Like, say a bee or a bug or something simple like that is flying around me. I still won't kill it, but I'll just like try to stop it with my hand or push it away from me and be like, not right now, buddy. You know, like, I know that sounds so silly to people, but it's who I am, because those are also beings and people don't get that. And I don't want to get too, into littler things that people think are unimportant, but everything is important. But at the same time, in the physical world, nothing is important. That's just a word. What it means is show love and compassion. Don't be negative or misleading or purposely, saying false things, doing harmful things. Don't do that. It's simple. Oh, like, people don't know what we should do. Well, we should be nice to each other. We should take care of ourselves. We should turn off all the things that have to do with negative things. We shouldn't watch blood, gore, and violence. We shouldn't listen to profanity and anger and rebellion. We shouldn't do that. We should not do that. But people won't want to listen because they're addicted to it. They're addicted to everything. Nobody understands that they're all just a bunch of addicts. It's funny that they have like Alcoholics Anonymous and Drugs Anonymous when they ought to have Common Thought Anonymous. They ought to have Governmental Anonymous. They ought to have Political Anonymous, because anyone who believes those things is more of an addict and more of a fucked up reject than anybody. And those are words that I'm using, not because I mean them in their way, but in the way that they portray in an earthly sense. Yes, that's rejected. It shouldn't even be that way. Do you think that there's been governmental and political systems in the past? Well, yeah, there were. And guess what? They've always led to war and disagreement and argument. Instead, why don't we just say, hey, we all understand that we're here living this life. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Why don't we try to work towards something where we can learn it, not put some dogma on it, not say God, Jesus, Moses. I mean, those beings were beings, but that wasn't their name. That's just what we were referred to as. They're all one thing. We're all one thing. We're the earth body. And then we're the astrals. And then above that, we're divine and we become the one. But most people have never experienced that. Even all these, big time guru and spiritual people and out of body explorers, their themes and their concepts are great, but they haven't been as far as I have. They haven't experienced divine reality, where you see how everything is created, not where you just conceptualize how things are created. You actually know. And it's not like when I say God, it's just that word that I use because I like that better than Brahman or any of the other words they use for God, the almighty source. I think source sounds silly only because Source magazine and the rappers, I don't really care for that whole thing. And that's why I don't use the word source. The universe is overly used these days. And God has actually been dwindling away. When, as a child, I believed in God. And guess what? As an adult, I not only believe in God, I have intertwined. I have become God. And that doesn't mean that I think anything greatly of myself more than anyone else, because we all are that. It's just that I realize that peace in me and I know it as a deep knowing. It's not something I think. It's not something I ponder. Maybe that's how it is. It is how it is. That's 100% the fact of how things are. And I'm not going to stop saying that because it's the truth. So if I just mask the truth because other people don't want to hear it, that would be doing what everybody else does. Shut up, because you might stir up the water a little bit if you tell the truth to people and it bothers them. Whoopie-doo. You need to know the truth. You're going to go through your whole life or all of your lives until something profound happens and you get your head out of your ass. I love you guys in a way you would not understand. Like, I'm getting frustrated because it's been 4 months since I've seen my 2 youngest kids. And it's been, a year or two since my older 4 have even showed consideration or concern or really care. I mean, they do, and I know they love me, but they're not taught to use their minds. They're just following along with society. So even when people they love give them good ideas or good things that they could do with themselves, they don't follow it because it's, like I say, 8 hours a week compared to the rest of the time they spend with everyone else. It's very hard to put any kind of lasting impression on somebody, especially when it's an important one, because important things and things that take time to understand and learn, you have to put effort and time into. And right now, people don't want to have to take time or effort to do anything. They want it to be simple and fast. And that's where we're flawing. We're having tons of flaws in our lives because we don't want to have to put in the work and we don't want to have to wait for anything. Honestly, I get very frustrated because I don't want to wait to see the world the way it should be. And not should in my eyes, should in the eyes of all that live here. If someone can't say that every moment of the day they're completely happy, then they're not where I'm at. And when I say I'm completely happy and I'm sounding like this, concern does not mean I'm unhappy. Concern means I care. And when I get, sounding angry or sounding whatever, it's only because people seem to listen more when you do that. If I was like, love everyone, and I didn't say fucking idiots, God, like if I didn't say that kind of stuff, if I was just like, people are making mistakes, and if only they would try a little harder, nobody would care. And when I get this out there, people don't think I'm being a jerk, but I'm not being a jerk. I love them, and I would love to sit down with them and talk to them about their experience in this life. But people don't really, I have not met a person who actually wants to meet someone new. Not at all. They want to meet somebody that makes them feel good about themselves. Well, start feeling good about yourself first, and then meet other people. Don't worry about them making you feel good. Do it yourself. Don't put that burden or that pressure on someone else. Be an adult. Be mature. You don't even have to be an adult. Whatever age you are, be mature and do that. Find who you are and be happy with yourself, and don't depend on someone else to do it. It's that simple. And stop living the episode of what you think love is, because it's not anywhere near what people think love really is. Love isn't batting your eyes and floating hearts and cupids and harps. No, not at all. It's accepting. It's understanding. It's helping and caring It's not picking one or two and choosing to, those are the ones I love. It doesn't make any sense. And if anybody would really think about it, they know exactly what I mean, and they know that I'm being honest. And they know that that's the only way we should be, is loving towards each other. So, that's all I have to say for now. I love you guys very much.